Andrew, you're the special envoy for cyber security and digital resilience. This is part of that story, isn't it? In terms of making our community resilient to some of the risks inherent in social media.
Absolutely. We're living more of our lives online, and the government has an agenda to make those online spaces safer. And that includes privacy, it includes social media, it includes scams. It's a whole of government agenda. On this one, I want to pay credit to Zoe. She's been a really important advocate on this issue. And I think she's right. It is a hard challenge. It's a challenge that Australia is one of the first countries in the world to deal with. We probably won't get it all right on day one, but we are having a crack with the Liberals' support at addressing this problem, which as a parent, I worry about every single day.
But that's the key point, isn't it? That it's, for those out there saying, you can't do it technically or people get around it. The thing is, you can amend this. It's a law where whoever wins the next election can come back in 12 months and fix things. And then in another 12 months, fix some more. Because the internet doesn't just sort of stay rigid.
100%. This is a hard problem. And hard problems don't have easy solutions. But the important thing that Australia is doing in a bipartisan way is having a crack at tackling that problem. And yes, we will learn. We've already learned a lot about how young people might be able to evade it or how to do age assurance. And we're going to keep learning. But hopefully we come out of this with a world-leading policy to keep our kids safe.
Well, I guess one of the things is, as well, it's sort of shifting a social norm in a way. Because this thing has just been able to happen.
Absolutely.
Without any guardrails.
And somebody said to me on the weekend on one of the social platforms, why wasn't this done earlier? Do you know why? Because it was only about 2013 that people started noticing really significant behavioural changes in kids, because by that time they'd had social media around with the dopamine loop created by the like buttons in about 2009. So by 13, 14, 15, when more than half the population had a smartphone, we started seeing what was happening. And that's when books started appearing like Gene Twengie's iGen, and we thought, this is not all good, right? That's when we really started tracking the impact on depression, particularly for young girls and subsequently young boys as well. And then subsequently, we've had a lot of investigation, including here by our mental health experts on what it's doing. So there really has been a kind of growth in awareness in the last couple of years, and COVID hurried everything along, right? We had some control of devices in our homes before COVID, and then we didn't because we had 36 weeks of online schooling in Victoria, right? So we kind of lost control of the ball, and now we have to bring some moderation back into the system.
And what do you say to those who might be worried about having more of their data out there? Because I've had older friends say to me that, do I have to give Facebook more info? How does this work?
Yeah. Well, firstly, Facebook already has a lot of information about you. They know how you shop, what you look at online, they track you around the internet. So Facebook already has an enormous amount of information. And what we're saying is we want to be using that information and others in the best methods we can come up with to have a sense of how old people are. This is not about uploading your passport. It's not about uploading your driver's license. That won't be required. What we are requiring is that we use the best technology available to keep our kids safe.
Let's look, it's final sitting week of the year, maybe the term, could be the term.
Okay.
Is the coalition risking not backing those production tax incentives for the resources industry? I know it sounds a bit niche, but in WA particularly, it's a massive story for the resources sector.
Indeed.
You're going to oppose it.
We are going to oppose it, in part because we think that amount of money can be better spent somewhere else. There's something like $14 billion in the next 10 years. But more importantly, it looks to us to be a pretty tokenistic grab for votes in the West, quite frankly. And in part because the minerals sector, the resources sector, has been pretty clear in terms of what it thinks of this government. Anyone who watched Tanya Constable's speech at the Minerals Council week in September would be under no doubt as to what they think of this government and the imposition of regulation, industrial relations, red tape, environmental procedures and all the delay involved. I imagine this is kind of some effort to balance the ledger, albeit a very expensive one.
Andrew?
Well, it can't be both expensive and tokenistic. It has to be one or the other.
It can be both.
I think this is a really important reform for Australia's future. We have been talking about these industries for a long time. We've been talking about critical minerals. We've been talking about minerals processing. We've been talking about new forms of energy. And this is a proposal, finally, has to have something on the table to kickstart those industries. And this, again, is just another area where the government has a plan. The Liberals are blocking that plan but they don't have an alternative.
I got a better plan.
Just heard that
I got a
from
better
Zoe.
plan.
They
Sign
don't
up to
have
the
an
EU
alternative.
FTA, my friend. A big central part of it was selling our critical minerals to Europe, our good strategic friends. It would create a huge industry in critical minerals overnight. But no, you'd rather subsidise.
Well, we've done a huge amount of new deals in trade through the Trade Minister, Don Farrell. I don't think these things are either or. This is an opportunity for us to promote these industries. We've been talking about them for a long time, but unfortunately we have an alliance of the extremes of the left and the right of Australian politics, the Greens and the Liberals, teaming up to block sensible progress.
Extremist.
I know. Hardly extreme. You called me a teal last week. You can't call me a teal and an extremist in the same week.
That's true. Fair point. Zoe and Andrew, great to see you both. Thank you.